Alright, we're back. Today we're going to show you how to size a watch band. I've chosen two watch bands which are fairly common, and they're fairly simple with just a couple basic tools. So let's get to it. We're going to start with a mesh watch band. It's a very simple process to adjust the size. There are some notches on the back. All you really need is a pair of fine pointed tweezers or maybe some needle-nosed pliers. There's this opens and closes. That's the clasp part. What you're going to work with is the notch right here. The notch, you put the tweezers in, pry it up, it pops open. It easily slides in or out based on these notches here. There's several notches. There's a notch in the back of the clasp that also will sort of slide into place. You move it around where you'd like it. You fold this little part back over, and as long as you're in a notch on the back side, which you'll be able to feel by running it back and forth, you'll feel when it's in or out, and you just give it a nice little push down and it snaps down. It's tight, it's back on. That's all there is to that. It's about that hard. So you could easily do this yourself. Just take you a minute or two at home. The hardest part is probably finding the right pair of tweezers or pliers to pry it open with. The second one we're going to work on is a little bit more complex, but not very much more. It's a bracelet style with metal links that move back around. They're solid pieces. They have hinges in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the pins that hold these together. They look like screw heads. They have a split. They're really not. They're just push pins. On the inside of the watch, hope we can see this here, there'll be some arrows. The arrows are the removal direction. So you want the pin, in this case the arrows are pointing this way, so you want to push the pin out that direction. Now for this you'll need a little block of wood, which will help you prevent from denting the table or whatever type of surface area, because we're going to be pushing a metal pin right into the wood and let the wood do the work. You want to have the case of the watch hanging off the edge a little bit so the band lays nice and flat on the piece of wood. If you have the case up here and you try to push this pin out, it's going to be moving around and rocking, really hard to do something, and you may bend the pin that we want to avoid bending. I'm going to take a small little piece. This you could use a sewing needle for this, or any type of very fine pointed piece. This is a little something that I made that I use here in the shop on a regular basis. But essentially it just needs to fit inside the hole, and you place it in the hole. You tap it with a hammer, just a couple little taps. You lift this straight up and you should have the watch pin sticking straight out. I'm going to take my pliers, grab the watch pin, and gently pull it out. There it is. I'm going to do the same thing for the next one, since we want to take one link out of this watch. Hold it down right there, give it a little tap. If you tap it a little bit harder than the first time, when we lift it up, the watch pin is actually sticking into the wood block. That's just fine. And that's the reason why we're using the wooden block, is because we're making some holes in it. If you did this on a table, you'd be pretty happy with the end result. Put it back together is just about as difficult, which is pretty easy. You slide the watch together. Now in this case, you want to go the opposite direction of the arrow. These pins are directional. There's a split and a bend. If you look at them, one end is split open, the other end is bent. So you want to put the bend in first, which is the opposite way it came out, of course. Well, no, it's the way it came out. So we're going to push that down as hard as we can with our fingers. Got the watch hanging off the end so it can go nice and straight. Couple little taps with a hammer. Any hammer will do. Doesn't have to be a hammer like this one, but any small hammer is better than a large hammer in this case. Now to get that pin set down all the way, you want to take your little punch, put it right on the end of the head there, and just gently tap it till it countersinks a little bit in there, and that'll make sure it's nice and snug. This one happens to be sticking out too. We're going to push it down just a little. And that's it. Nice, easy, simple, straightforward. That's one watch link, consisting of link and the pin. So you can do this yourself at your house. A jeweler will probably charge you to do it somewhere $10 or $15 just because it's their time. So you can easily save that money by doing it yourself. I hope this helps you. It was pretty straightforward, simple. You can always email us if you have a question or any comments. We'll be more than happy to read them and do our best to respond to all of them. As you can see, the dog probably hasn't moved much, although it's probably about time for lunch and his walk. We'll see you soon. Thank you.